You know what I didn't do, which I told
Start
myself to do.
start the stream on everything.
Hmm?
Did you start? Did you forget to like put it up on YouTube or something?
No, I did that. I didn't put my little intro blurb
Oh,
like
oops.
making myself do.
Huh.
And now I have to intro on the fly. Da-na-na-na. So the only thing that's let me show the chat. So I can also have that. Let's see. Mm-mm-mm-mm.
We hop on Twitch.
Hopping on the Twitch. Mm. You're gonna be at Muse?
Yeah, I'll be at Muse.
Word, word.
I'm assuming that you'll be at Muse. Oh damn, I don't know my
I
Twitch
don't know.
password.
I don't know. Man, I don't know. I might be there. I might come from Philly. I might.
Are you
I
teaching
heard
this time?
y'all doing some cool things up there.
Are you teaching?
Yeah, I'm teaching.
Okay, I thought so.
I was being facetious.
I was fairly certain. I don't know my Twitch password. We'll just do the email recovery.
Yeah. Hello, everyone. We know it's been a while. Yes.
What up? What up?
Yes. What it do? We're currently broadcasting on Facebook, Twitch, and YouTube. So whichever one you're commenting from, we have this beautiful chat window. We'll see you throughout the show. Per usual, we'll try to incorporate your chats into the show. So if you got something witty, we may even display it on screen. So keep it PG-13. uh, and then obviously, if you watch this later, we can't incorporate your tech. We can't do that. We don't.
Yeah,
We don't own time machines. We don't have a Stargate.
yeah. I don't have a time machine. Nope.
That was very convincing. Cool. All right, we'll give it a couple more seconds and get going because it's been a busy week. Yeah, there was a lot that came out. Although actually, I was gonna say some of the Nintendo news wasn't that surprising for me, to be fully
uh,
honest.
true, true.
Everyone was like, "We're getting a Zelda this year." I'm like,
Gasp.
"No, no, no, you're not." There
It's
goes
like, yo, we're
Terry.
gonna we're gonna get a
Yeah.
Switch Pro.
Oh, okay. So, so you're gonna rub that in my face?
Got
You
him.
gonna do that?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Oh. Oh gosh.
Always feels good being right. Never. It's a feeling that never goes away.
Fine. Fine. It could still happen, but
I mean,
then why should I just?
eventually, it wasn't.
But
It
then why
wasn't
should I
gonna
just be the next?
happen. It wasn't gonna
Why should I just
happen.
be the Switch?
Like a year or two ago, though.
Yeah. Yeah. You're right. You're right. You called that the whole way through.
hmm
Yeah. Never wavered either. That's to be clear. Imminent Doom was never like, maybe.
I
I
was
was
like,
like,
nope.
no, just straight up, all negativity. No, I'm just kidding.
Laugh reacts top to bottom.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
All right. Well, this is State of the Nerd Union, and it's not on a Monday. It's on a Friday. It's also been months. Some of y'all have been following the Patreon and occasional updates we've posted. So, some of the folks have still gotten reviews and things out on the site. So we've been able to keep that up. But a lot of us just had a lot of life has happened, and this is not a full-time gig for us yet. So
hmm
there you go. I could get into more detail, but I'll be honest, that's about as that's really what it is. So I'm glad to get started back, and hopefully we can keep going and have folks. Hey Lanai, what's up?
Oh wait, the rule is if there's an animal nearby, you have to pick them up and then show them on screen.
I don't know. She
It's
didn't always like that.
Nah,
I might
he's
maybe
not down.
I'll pan down at some point.
Yeah,
for
there
her,
you
but
go.
I'll try to pick her up. She might freak out. So,
Freak out.
Taryn says Grandmaster is rocking a beard shave.
Yep.
Yeah.
I told Kenneth a minute ago, was like, oh, I hadn't checked in on my chin in a couple of years, so I had to make sure it was still there, see how it's doing, check up on it.
Yeah. Can we? Sorry, I immediately thought about Fairly Odd Parents and Crimson Chin, and I was like, I guess we could be like Ebony Chin. Oh gosh.
That reminds me of back when the new Mortal Kombat movie came out. They were like people was like, oh man, I wanted to get like classic Liu Kang and Kung Lao up in here. Instead, we got the bronze kneecap. Oh man, looking forward to that new Mortal Kombat movie though. Hey, it's more video game movies that show up that are in theaters, and I'm like, sure, more of them. Hook me up.
Yeah, I mean, I can't say anything. I like Godzilla vs. King Kong, so
yeah, it was a good movie.
Although they're teased that they might actually do the one thing that everyone has wanted them to do, and just make it solely Godzilla and King Kong, like no human real story arc at all. Like humans really be in the peripheral, and I'm like, that might be great. That might be amazing.
In classic old form kaiju movie fashion, where it's basically you just get shots of people just responding to what's happening. It's like that. It's like King Kong like picks up Godzilla and throws him into a building, or Godzilla like slaps King Kong across the city, and people were just like, "What? That's crazy!" And then just cuts back to the giant monster fight, and it's like that. They only get like one-liners or two-liners, like that's it.
If we could get Celebrity Deathmatch commentating like that, though, like just inexplicably, there's these two dudes that always find an undestroyed skyscraper to sit on with a table and microphones and cover the match.
better yet, it'll be astronauts from space doing it, and you're like, I'm safe, like I'm good up here, up until like Godzilla shoots a beam up and like blows up the moon, and then that's when all the commentary stops.
that might be the best way. All right. Well, we got a good little bit because stuff happened.
Yep,
so we're gonna go through some
week.
quick bits, and here is an update that happened. Or actually, no, sorry. What am I saying? We're going to maybe you guys should. There we go. Restart it.
I believe in you.
Well, we're trying out a new thing, folks, and I'm gonna have to. I don't know. Let's try this.
I got you. I'll do the first one.
Cool.
So for old heads like us, if you remember Tamagotchis, you can now experience all the fun of having your Tamagotchi die because you forgot to feed it all over again. You can raise Baby Grogu or Baby Yoda in basically like Tamagotchi-esque form, and they'll be available for pre-order soon, where you'll be able to successfully nurture your little baby Grogu, or will the Dark Trooper take him away? You can unlock little outfits for him. You can feed him and play a bunch of little mini games. There's no word on if your baby Grogu will actually be able to die. But if it's like a Tamagotchi, you forget to feed him for a day or two, and oops. I guess I'm hatching a new egg.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if Disney made a caveat. That's why I'm wondering if Dark Trooper is effectively the death.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, I don't know how not feeding Grogu that would mean that the Dark Trooper is gonna pick them up.
What happens is one of the mini games is that you have to nurture an endangered species, and if you don't feed Grogu, he just starts eating all nearby endangered species.
Wow. But hey, we didn't come up with that idea. Star Wars did it themselves.
It's true. It's canon. It was in there. I came up with that specific idea. That gameplay mechanic is mine, and if they use it, they better pay me.
Pay him what he owed.
I'm gonna go and shake Disney upside down by their ankles.
It's like get all the loose billions. Yep.
Speaking of loose billions and transitional segues,
Transitional segues into a 17-year-old was arrested. This is an update for the Grand Theft Auto 6 hack. We're going to talk about it a little bit more later in the show, but a 17-year-old hacker was arrested connected to the hacker group, I think Lapsus, with a dollar sign. Texas with a
Lapsus
dollar
money?
sign.
Question mark.
Yeah. What'd you say? Lapsus money?
Yeah, Lapsus money.
So Eurogamer UK originally reported on this from a reporter, Matthew Keys. The UK Cyber Division arrested him. And so we don't, apparently the same group is the one that did the Uber hack last week. So no, even though we're talking about the Grand Theft Auto hack from the previous weekend, the week before that, there was a Uber hack that happened as well. So not sure exactly. So not sure exactly if that's the exact same person, but we've been, apparently it's the same group. We were talking offline that even if this kid is amazing, he might be a great hacker. Don't know that. Poor kid's probably a patsy.
Yeah. I immediately was like, this sounds like a Fall Guy. Like, if it's a hacker group, like, you might be a pretty good hacker, but what you not is, like, you might be like a level 40 hacker, but like a level 3 criminal. And they were probably just like, yeah, you handle selling the source code for GTA 6. You got this. You work so hard to help us steal it, so you should be the one to contact people with your name attached to it to sell it.
Yeah, you go blackmail Rockstar. Yeah.
Good luck. And it went sideways, and they're the ones that he grabbed, and the way that these groups operated, is largely through digital anonymity, where it's like you might get on some like messaging app or whatever where stuff's obfuscated on both ends, so all you have is like a list of screen names, and you don't know where anybody is, you don't know what kind of stuff anybody does, or this, that, and the other. So he might not have any information to offer authorities in exchange for some kind of amnesty or reduction of sentence or whatever. So he might be toast.
Exactly. Yeah, that's I feel for the kid. I mean, don't do the crime, but like still like, and then also we don't know how he got recruited and stuff. Like probably could have been.
He could have been set up from the very beginning, where exactly. one minute he's playing Roblox, with his friends, and some dude's like, "Yo, you want to join?" Somebody tells him to download this aimbot, and he was like, "Wow, this aimbot's really great. Can I help?" And they're like, "Yeah, you can." And next week he's trying to sell Grand Theft Auto 6 back to Rockstar or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, we were talking about this one offline. It was like immediately once I read the story, I was like, didn't this happen like just last year with like another game? And we could both recall, but like we couldn't remember what game it was. So if you happen to be watching the show or you remember, remember that story, if you remember what game it was that got stolen like a year ago, it was like a Russian hacker group back then, but I can't remember what game it was. But if you happen to remember, let us know.
And we'll definitely try to we did a lot of research for the other notes, but we didn't have time to grab that. So hopefully we can get back around to that. And another leak, but definitely way less nefarious. Did Logitech accidentally leak a white Xbox Series X? And so there's a new commercial for their Astro A30 headset. And if you notice the systems in the back, there's like an Oculus Quest, the new white Quest 2. There's a PS5, and they're trying to keep all the systems and stuff there on that back wall white. So naturally, there's a white Xbox back there too, but it doesn't look like it's a skin. Sometimes when you put a skin on, sometimes you can kind of tell that it's a little bit, just makes the system look a little bit bigger, stuff like that. Not usually terrible, but so while it could be a skin, could be a paint job. Logitech also is working closely with Microsoft with the new handheld, which we'll talk about later. So there could be like a secret little tease.
Yeah, Logitech is one of my friends in a Discord I'm in described it as like the best waste of like $350. It's like, oh yeah, for like the best opportunity for like the least important handheld console of the year, and it's like for $50 less you could get a Switch. For $50 more you can get a Steam Deck. So it's like, and this, at least from initial reportings, it seems like this device is like largely like an online like access tool, where it's like it's meant to be used to access online stores of other games.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little bit like, for a little bit less you have access to like the entire Nintendo library. For a little bit more, you basically have a really powerful handheld docking station computer that you can use to do whatever you want with.
Yeah.
So, that middle price point is like, I'm not sure. I mean, we'll have to see, what kind of stuff comes up, because it might be fresh. It might be fresh. But like, everybody been real hype about the Nintendo Switch for a long time, and we've been super hype about the Steam Deck for a long time. I don't know if I got that space in my heart to be hyped about another handheld console that I don't know nothing about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just,
Last up on the quick hits, we have Cloverfield 2 is official and has a director. So Hollywood Reporter just announced that Babak Anvari as a director, with original director Matt Reeves, is back to executive produce. And this will be the first direct sequel to the franchise, as opposed to an additional story that happens within the same universe. And of course, like now, right when I said that, I immediately forgot. I'm like, oh yeah, there's like this other movie and this movie, and both of those are also in the Cloverfield universe. And I am like, they immediately went out the window.
10 Cloverfield Lane and the Cloverfield Paradox.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, which are set in the same universe, but aren't a direct sequel to the movie Cloverfield.
The other thing too is like those were the thing that just driven me nuts about the Cloverfield franchise is that it's not even really a franchise, because they just keep taking scripts that are like, let's put that in Cloverfield, and I'm like, but why?
It don't have nothing to do with what's going on. Now, I will say one of the things that the Cloverfield franchise, I did my air quotes too far off cam, franchise is really good at, is they're really good at storytelling peripheries. So I think it was when Cloverfield and 10 Cloverfield Lane came out, at the very least, they had a bunch of like hidden clues on their website, where like if you took some image and you did, image razzmatazz stuff that I'm not very familiar with, like you could turn it into a link, and that would go to some website, and there were a bunch of clues that would be released at certain times. There was like a geocaching thing, and this one goes out to like a mountain in wherever, and some fan would go to those coordinates and open up this thing, and there's like photos and another URL or something, and then like they post that, and people would go through and do all this like solving and clue stuff. So like they're really good at like doing those kind of periphery things to kind of help add to the mysticism of their universe. So even though the films themselves, like if you just watch them and you're like, these places take place in the same universe, and it's like, yeah, you're like, okay, sure. But like, their marketing tends to be on the cutting edge side of things. It's pretty cool.
And I do like that the third movie, this isn't really a spoiler per se, but if people still want to watch it, I won't really divulge on that. But I'm glad it at least gave a plausible reason for why there could be more than just a Cloverfield monster. So when you watch the movie and there's other things going on, we've all watched the second and third movie, and probably whatever is going to happen in Cloverfield 2. Paradox is at least giving us we did this thing and it opened a thing and all this stuff came out. Oh no.
Right. Gotta catch him all because he's a Danny Phantom.
That's pretty good. Yeah. That's what it's like. Yep. Did you see you got a compliment on your shirt?
Hold on, I gotta pull up the chat.
I put it on the stream, but
hey, thank you.
Terrence
actually, Marjorie got me the shirt for my birthday. It's a Star Wars shirt.
Terrence says, "Okay, what is up with the yellow box above? I don't know. Do I ask you what's up with the thing on your thing?
Yeah, if you look really closely, there's like actual little. Oh, he just disappeared. There's a little blue block over here that pops up, but it's hard to see on top of the blue shirt. There he is. Hold up, I'm gonna grab him. I'm gonna grab him. I'm gonna get. Ah, that's too slow.
Dang it. We're trying a new thing out. All right.
Yeah.
If you're like, I hate it and it's distracting, let me know because we could turn it off. All right.
It's Kenny's
So I'll
favorite
kick
section.
off. For the cinephiles, this one is a little bit older, but there's been some new photos that came out. So very quickly, Batgirl, travesty that was canceled the way that it was. I get that it's a financial decision, but Warner Brothers just kind of keeps digging themselves a hole, as the chief financial officer says that the whole situation was blown out of proportion. Per a statement by Gunnar Windenfels, he says, to me, it's blown out of proportion a little bit in terms of the attention externally. The focus is on a go-forward basis here. We're spending more than ever in the history of the two companies on content. We're continuing to make significant investments. We'll make them differently. Media likes to talk about media, I guess. I don't think it's unusual. We are a creative industry, and one of the elements of creativity is that there is judgment and views on what the potential of what a certain piece of property might be. Clearly, the course corrections, making changes quickly where we don't agree with the track that Warner Media was on. And that took a lot of courage and execution early. So basically, what he's talking about there is because there was more than just Batgirl. There's been a lot of other cancellations. One we didn't get to talk about also is like a lot of Adult Swim shows that have been hosted on HBO Max are currently getting taken off. And we'll talk about. I'm sure this is going to be a continuing problem that we end up talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But the directors for Batgirl and even Leslie Grace herself, who played the titular character, dropped some photos of her interacting with Michael Keaton's return as Batman. So we got to see that photo show up online, and even saw a behind-the-scenes stunt photo that showed her, actual full video showing her like jumping off of a balcony, doing a backflip, landing on a tree, and landing in front of a bunch of goons. It looked pretty good. It looked pretty good for them to say like this movie is not finished, and obviously we know they were still gonna have to do some cleanup and edit, but it's like, man, this movie seemed like it was really done. I mean, it seemed like it was really close.
Yeah, it's like it makes you question like how much more did you need to spend in order to like just wrap it up?
Yeah. All right, Taryn, you say it's distracting. All right, so for next time we won't have the yellow block. I don't think people notice the blue block as much.
Yeah.
All right. What's next?
Crossover news. British Film Institute announces a 10-year plan to expand video game content. So the strategy, called Screen Culture 2033, has been greenlit with a cash infusion of 136 million funding plan for the first 3 years, with more likely to follow for this 3-year plan. To better recognize the achievements of all screen mediums, including video games, as an art form. In a statement, quote unquote, but despite its universal appeal and impact, screen culture is not afforded the same value in society as other cultural forms. At the BFI, we're here to promote the growth and full value of screen culture, to celebrate its positive impact on society, and transform access to ensure its continued economic growth.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. I mean, video games are art. And like there's tons and tons of games that people can point to over examples, like over not even just in the past like 5 years, like really in the past like 20 years.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting that I'm not trying to say an American one would have done it first. I'm just surprised that BFI did it first. If that makes sense.
Why?
Like, just because of the saturation of game culture in the U.S. compared to other countries. I'm not saying, to be clear, I know other countries play video games and it's very healthy markets in every single. I just kind of thought if there would have been one that would have made that kind of commitment towards it, I would have thought it would have been maybe over here. But since that statement is more arts focused as a whole, maybe that's where I'm kind of missing it. It's because they're, as much as it's also video games, they're also trying to make sure everything that's on screen is elevated and that might be where as the U.S. it's purely entertainment a lot of the times, which is not necessarily bad, but I don't know if we always think about it in that art.
Yeah, I don't think the well, I don't know much about like the peoples of the gaming peoples of other countries, but I know like I feel like in the U.S. there's like not as many people who like are vocal about pushing for video games to be considered art in the U.S. Like it's like a topic that comes up, you know, when the awards ceremonies pop up or whatever. Where I was like, why aren't you including video games? And it's like, why aren't they including video games? But like other than that, it's like effectively a non-conversation, at least in the U.S.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Why are half of Twitch podcast streamers either talking about sports or another language than English, other than except you guys?
Podcast streamers. I don't know. That's a good question.
Good question. Should we message them and find like message individual? Like,
message group. Yo, what the fuck, man?
If I had to posit a guess, it might be certain sites that are doing it. Like, I don't know if I know IGN has a podcast, but I don't know if they're doing it on Twitch. So, I know some of their hosts might do stuff on Twitch, but I don't know if they're like as a company doing things on there. Like, hey, this is the IGN Twitch stuff. I don't know.
Yeah, I guess it's because like even though there's a whole bunch of groups that are probably doing stuff. They're not necessarily all doing them on Twitch. Probably because like if you're IGN, like you don't like I don't want Twitch to be able to tell me what to do.
Yeah, that's true.
Because Twitch will ban people for like the most bonkers of reasons, and they're not consistent. So I get it.
Although they are loosening the partnership restrictions finally. So if you're a Twitch affiliate and partner and you want to broadcast on other platforms, you're no longer going to be penalized for doing so. So now creators can get money streams from, and people were doing it anyway and just kind of pushing that boundary because it's like if you are going to be an online content creator, you kind of need everything that you can get, especially if you're going to make it a full-time gig. So I'm glad they finally relaxed on that. I don't know when that it becomes official. I know they announced it, but I don't know when that becomes official. But glad that they caught up to that. But you're right. Yeah. If your IGN's like, I don't want Twitch telling me what to do. Get out of here. Stop it. Cut it out. You know what time it is?
Hey, it's game time. The best time of the whole stream. You want to take the first one?
Sure. So y'all remember and Doom also called this out correctly. That it's like that seems dubious. When Microsoft said they're buying Activision, and rightfully so, everyone's like, that doesn't seem good. So Sony CEO has since come out to push back on the terms that are being negotiated currently about the Activision deal. So part of this came out a little while ago, but we're kind of coming back around to it because that deal is still being talked about. So the Activision deal, which would include the Call of Duty games being on Sony consoles, goes until 2024. So Microsoft is not going to violate that deal. That's what was already intact. And the conversations, whether they haven't necessarily broken down, but the pushback that Sony was giving to Phil Spencer, who said like, yeah, we're eventually going to, he effectively just confirmed like, yeah, effectively we're going to take Call of Duty off of Sony. That's what he said. Like he might have tried to cloud it a little bit, but it's like, no, that's what you mean. So Sony's CEO, sorry, let me pull it back up. The current 3-year deal would add 3 years onto that 2024, push it out to 2027, saying that that's effectively untenable for Sony gamers because they have a lot of them grown up playing Call of Duty on Sony platforms. Now, granted, it's 2022 right now. I think they'll figure something out, but there's so much of a content grab happening between studios. Would Microsoft really pull the trigger and be like, no, that's all we're offering you?
I mean, I think we talked about this before. Like, I mean, but not to say like, Sony isn't a big company, but and Microsoft is obviously a big company, but like Microsoft like has the money to say I don't care, and I want it and you can't have it and I don't care. It's like movies and music and the video game components of Sony like are all like that's a huge industry, but is it Microsoft big? Question mark, dot, dot, dot. If you asked me 6 months ago when we were doing the shows on the Reggie Deggy, I probably would have been able to say definitively yes, because it's right here in my notes, but I didn't check. But I'm pretty sure that they're in two different echelons of power. It's like, yes, to the common person, could you beat Yamcha from Dragon Ball Z? No, you could not. But also, could you beat Goku? No, you could not. But we all know that Yamcha and Goku are very different echelons of power, and like that's understanding that perception of how big the company, like how big these big companies are relative to each other. Like Microsoft could choose to not release any IP on different consoles and just eat them and say like these are all on Xbox now. You either be on PC or Xbox to play these games, otherwise fuck off. Like that's the way it is. And Microsoft could do that, and I don't think Sony is in the position to do that same thing. Not without repercussions. Where Microsoft could do it and be like, I don't care. I was like, we released a new computer and everybody's buying it, and that's where a whole bunch of money comes from for us. So it's like for Sony, they were like, all right, we can choose not to release this IP on Xbox, but like Venom 3 needs to slap, or else we will not be okay.
Oh, Venom.
Yeah, real quick. In the chat, we got Microsoft has bought Minecraft like it was nothing. Yeah, I remember that was a huge deal. Like at the time, Minecraft was like the biggest, most played game, like in like globally. Like I used to have like a encapsulation of like, oh, at the time they had sold like this many copies of Minecraft and it has this many, daily concurrent players and all that stuff. I don't have the figures anymore, but like Minecraft is like, the defining game of like of an era. And they were just like, yo, Notch, what if we just gave you like bonkers money and could we have Minecraft? And he was like, that sounds cool. And then like immediately, like, several months later, he was very much like, I made a mistake. I want Minecraft back, but it was too late.
It's too late.
But yeah, that is a good point. Microsoft bought Minecraft like it was nothing. Like they have, I mean, and it was a huge investment for them, which has paid off like multiple times over, like the merchandising and the auxiliary games and all that stuff. But like all of that to say, like, Microsoft is in a different echelon of big company to Sony. Like it's both as big as they are. It's a different thing.
Mm-hmm. Let's see.
Oh, hey, cool. We got the figures. Yeah, Fat Loser 293. You're doing the work.
Goodness.
Yeah. So real quick, Sony's net worth as of September 21st was 86 billion, and Microsoft's net worth is, hold up, is that supposed to be 178.2 billion, or is that 17? Or is that 1782 billion? I'm willing to bet that that is the right way that you wrote that. That is a massive difference in power level. Like you could read Sony's power level with a scouter. You cannot read Microsoft's power level with a scouter.
Oh yeah, you never get to rip it off the sword because it say it's over 9,000 because you just blow up.
Yep.
Thank you for that. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate it. Yep, that's you typed that right. That's accurate. Yep.
Gosh, the one thing I love that I love the app that we're using, but it really needs a producer function so that someone could just run some of the things behind the scenes so we could grab notes. Once we're up here running the show, sometimes it can be a little hard to do that. Yeah. So thank you for that. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
Uh,
coming in with the alley oop.
with the assist. So
Alrighty. Oh,
yeah,
sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead.
yeah. I'll take the next one with
Mhm.
AI voice acting. And I will say one specific reason I'm concerned about this. Where we're coming from is Altered AI is a company that's working on AI voicing, and they were talking about they listed Ninja Theory as one of their companies partner companies, uh, which led a lot of people on Twitter to say, "Oh, hand raise is that coming into any new games like Hellblade, Sense's Saga, the sequel to the release that came out a couple years ago?" Ninja Theory confirmed that no, that's not happening. But there's an asterisk, there's a note that's very important, and I'm going to reference it to movies. They said they were going to use AI voice placeholders. So kind of like if you needed to watch how a cinematic was going to work, you could have the AI put in the text of, "Hey, this is the script that's going to be used. Speak it for us, just so we can see how it runs, and so on and so forth."
Hmm.
The problem, and this is so I'm going to use a movie analogy, but what there's some great YouTube videos about soundtracks, movie scores sounding the same because a
Mm-hmm.
director uses a sample track in place, right? They use this one sound of like, "Oh, I'm going to use this for the love theme just temporarily, right?" But the problem is once you've gotten so used to that being the sound that director will go to the composer and be like, "Hey, I really like that though. Can you make it sound like that?" It puts the composer in a difficult position because I really would like to make something new, but it ends up just kind of making these facsimile versions of scores. And there are, to be clear, there's some movies that made some fantastic sounds in the last decade and stuff. So it's not affecting every movie, but
Hmm.
there's definitely a sameness that has
Yeah.
happened as a result.
There's like the science fiction sound. There's like the adventure. Yeah, the blah. There's the adventure movie sound. Like there's certain kind of like I guess like audio motifs that directors want for films because they're like, oh man, I watched I was about to say what's it called? I watched Pacific Rim, and I did like Pacific Rim like was great because you got something new that went along with like the action movie monster genre, just as opposed to like Godzilla sounds of wah, da, 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 wah, or Batman or whatever, and we got something creative. But there's definitely you fall into those pitfalls where like when you think of like John Williams, it's like Superman, Indiana Jones, Star Wars. Like there's a couple of like themes or like there's a couple of theme songs where you're listening to and like, is this Superman or is this Star Wars? Hold on, or is this Indiana Jones? It's like, and you can't quite tell. And
Yeah.
it's like some of it like. Sometimes the problem is not problem, but sometimes where you fall into is that composers have like a unique sound that like you like, but like the big pitfall is when like you as a director say like pick any song that you could remember from any Transformers movie, like the I
I
don't
can remember the Linkin Park song. That's about it.
the only song that has like memorable music for Transformers is like the old like what was it, late 80s and early 90s animated Transformers film. It's like you could pick out like almost every song from that soundtrack. Granted, a lot of them were stuff like that was some of them were stuff that was written for the movie, and some of it was just
Mhm.
like stuff that they wanted to use, like "Dare to Be Stupid" by Weird Al, which seems like a crazy choice, but like it worked for the context. But like other times, you just have like you just end up with just blah, like Batman like promo music for most of the stuff.
Yeah. So and with voice acting already being devalued so much, this makes me really worried. And just like,
Yeah.
and very few studios are just us as a culture have not shown a capacity to use cool tools responsibly or in an ethically responsible way. So yeah,
Yeah, it's a little bit of asking if you can and not asking if you should kind of thing. It's like it's a Google Glasses problem. It's a Google Glasses problem.
Yes, bingo.
It's not quite as bad as Google Glasses, but it is a little bit of I don't want you to get too attached to using this and think that it's just as good as hiring a voice actor, because it's not.
Right. Let's see. What do we got next?
Here we go. Let's see. Can you reproduce tattoos in video games? Interesting. Tattoo artist James Hayden contends you can't. While this type of suit has been thrown out in the past, an Ohio judge is allowing a trial to continue with a jury to determine if 2K defense. 2K defense is valid against the claim that tattoo artist James Hayden has made regarding his copyright tattoos, which he penned for NBA superstar LeBron James and more. I guess the crux of it is basically like, if for art that is created for people in real space, in meat space, because you're creating a digital version of that person, can you also replicate the art that is on them in that digital copy?
Right.
And for this tattoo artist James Hayden, who like made the tattoo, designed the tattoo art, or the art of the tattoo for what would be a tattoo for LeBron James, is saying like, yo, I made that for him, not so you could mimic it and copy it.
I was gonna say, I think the issue though is gonna be because he did copyright the specific tattoos, but
wise choice.
But I think the problem is going to come where it's like, okay, but LeBron James has been you could see his photos all over the internet. Photographers and the NBA can license his image in a certain way, Nike and stuff like that. So now that's part of why it's been thrown out before in the past.
Mm-hmm.
But the contention may be like, oh, but maybe that's actually not a fair use if he had that image copyrighted that he put, they may owe a royalty to him, just like because you have used it,
Mm-hmm.
So,
and it might be only on like a pursuit basis where like he's not going to go after every tabloid who takes a photo of LeBron James because like his tattoo shows up in the photo, and you like, yo, if you want to print that, you got to pay me money. Like he might not bother, but if he's going after these folks for 2K, because they're a big company and like it's worth the effort, then yeah,
for sure. So I have no idea. We'll be interested to see where that goes.
This is great. Go for it.
Yeah, Ted Lasso fans are going to enjoy playing as the fictional soccer football team AFC Richmond in FIFA 2023. So you'll be able to play as the iconic team in specific modes and kickoff and online for the Rest of the World League. You can also play at Nelson Road Stadium, so you can actually be inside the stadium you see in the show. Along with there's a number of unlockables you'll be able to get September 30th when this releases. Some of them are kind of Easter eggs, things from the show. And you better believe, yes, the Believe poster is included as one of those unlockables. So,
nice.
That's
cool news for FIFA. Whereas like before, all we would talk about is their uses of loot boxes. It's like this is a neat addition to the game.
Yeah, for sure. So that's it for game time.
Cool.
And I know we're gonna talk more.
We have a lot more game time. That's kind of we might be lying to you, and we are lying to you.
What are you trying? What? Not lie. Yeah, that was a lie. Wait, hold on.
He's here. He's there. He's everywhere. It's Roy Kent.
Thank you for censoring yourself, Taryn. We appreciate it. Which also to Fat Loser's comment on Twitch, you can have mods real to view the podcast or even develop bots to do so. Yeah, we've had some issues in the past when we were streaming more regularly. Maybe something we need to look into going forward. So appreciate that. Hey, they're coming in hot.
Yeah, well, to reiterate our previous point, Kenny, we want to go the way of mods, not bots. We don't want to get too comfortable with bots. Make people think that they're better than mods. Just saying.
Hey, look, if they can help my job be a little easier, I would I'm not gonna. Okay, I
Yeah.
see.
I mean, if I was able to log into Twitch, I'd be able to mess around. But I can't. But my password recovery is just like, no, what you talking about? You ain't got no Twitch account. So we'll figure it out. Oh wait, here we go. Check the tech. All right, cool. So yeah, so we were talking about this a little bit before the show. So is the Logitech G Cloud a waste of money? Many users seem to think so. The cloud-based handheld. So Logitech just recently announced that they're also entering the handheld game space. Theirs is a cloud-based handheld console, which is priced at $300. But that's with a current discounted price. Its MSRP is going to be at $359, which is $50 less, or $50 less than a Steam Deck, and I believe $50 more than a Switch. So when this came out, one of my friends in a Discord chat that I'm in aptly said that the Logitech G is pretty much like the most useless handheld console for like 2012 or 2022 2013. Wait, 2023. There we go. I'm like, what year?
I was tracking.
Years. The current year that ends in 2, next year that ends in 3. Because it's like it's everybody's hype about the Switch, because there's tons of games that are already out there that you can play that you can get a physical copy of, because there's that physical media is a big thing for a lot of people, self included. And there's, if for all the people who already have tons of games in their Steam library, like the Switch Deck is also a good component that people have been excited about for a while, and it also serves as just like a dockable computer that you can just hook up to a monitor and just have with my keyboard and mouse, and just have a computer right there for you to play your Steam games on, which is phenomenal. And to release to announce releasing a console, I think it comes out like December of this year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it's coming.
When is it?
It is imminent.
Yeah.
I'll see y'all later. Dun, 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 dun.
Nice. But yeah, it's coming out real soon, and for it to be in that like liminal zone between those two consoles, like it's kind of like, but why though? Like you already have a ton of people with whom you can play games who already have a Switch, and you have a ton of games that you might already have on your Steam account, and friends that you can now play, and blah blah blah. So it's like, I'm still trying to reserve judgment, but like the initial perception is like, who asked for this? Which is they not wrong. Like if you get a Steam Deck, like these, you can download, like a Steam Deck's just like a computer that's handheld. You can download like whatever you want. So if you can download the launcher for, like whatever cloud-based systems are going to be on that the Logitech G offers, like you could accomplish the same thing. Granted, for $50 more, but probably for better hardware.
So my question, and I know we don't have our hands on it yet. We probably won't get like that. But if you could decently play, like if you did have local caching, so it's not going to be as robust as a Steam Deck, but it's like there would be a handful of games that will work on this that you could. Hey, thanks for the follow. There would be some that you could play on it locally. That would be where I was like, okay, you get access to the Steam library, not just the Xbox Cloud library and those platforms. You won't be able to play all of your Steam games just because the hardware won't be able to handle it, but it'd be a cheaper alternative that lets you, do some local offline play. I have not heard anything like that. So that's where it really is a head scratcher, especially as a mobile, because it's like, where are you going to be traveling to that's going to have internet better than probably what you have at home? There are going to be some, obviously there's going to be some shops that just have a fantastic, like maybe they get 10 gigs and their Wi-Fi connection is great. There are some places like that, but that's not a lot of places.
Yeah.
And even I would even think in my house, like if I were going to cloud game, I'd still want to plug in. I'd still want to be hardline for that to have the best, because I've tested doing Stadia in my house back when I was in the apartment, and I haven't tested it in the new house. I have to be clear, I haven't tested it there.
Hmm.
Even in the apartment, when I had a gig, that was still hit or miss. And I could also argue about how much gig I was getting, but that's another
Mm.
conversation. Um, so it's just, yeah. Now if it was like $200, then maybe
Then
I'm
then
like,
it'd
okay, that could be nice
be
to
in
get
business.
around the house. Yeah, it might be seem like okay, that'd be nice around the house. I could quickly like on my internet connection play stuff in the house and maybe have a little bit of stutter. But okay, for $200, this is like a cheaper way for me to enjoy, or maybe even like pump from my desktop computer that's in the house,
Hmm.
to that device. So that could be cool. But
Yeah, but for 350, 360, whatever it was, I don't know.
yeah,
But yeah, also, Kenny,
Taryn
you are
says
lagging a little bit.
there's speaking of internet connection, I'm on a hotel Wi-Fi, so
Yeah, I saw the lamp behind you. I'm like, don't nobody buy square lamps.
Square Enix.
Oh, okay.
All right. The
Alrighty.
next one is actually pretty big, and I know some people are gonna. I actually just read an opinion piece that made me upset before I jumped on the show. So there was an Australian bill passed a couple years ago that helped democratize or hold Google and Facebook accountable for the way that they aggregate search results, particularly for news. So, like, if let's say IGN again, IGN puts out a report of, hey, this thing happened and we're reporting on it. But the problem is, if that shows up in a Facebook result, you may read tagline. Sorry, you might read the title, get enough information from the tagline, and then never click on the link. Or Facebook, Google might present enough information kind of showing it to you in the search, and then you never click on the site. Now, for you as a user, you probably don't think anything about that because you're like, oh, okay, but I'm just moving on about my day. I saw the headline, cool. But what the problem is, that means that person, you never actually go to the site and potentially generate ad revenue. And that's where a lot of sites can run into issues, and have continuously seen their ad revenue drop. So Amy Klobuchar introduced a very similar bill that just passed in the Senate that would do the same thing here in the States, holding Google and Facebook accountable in a similar way as that Australian bill, so that if you are a major news site, or honestly even smaller news sites as well, because they are paying their employees to try to do the work and report on these things. And if they're not getting ad revenue, they should, from people that are looking at that information. This bill is aimed to make Facebook and Google pay into a fund that gets distributed evenly across sites that are shown on their searches, and to make sure they get compensated fairly for that lost search.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yep.
I thought it was, and I know again there's been some pushback, but I thought it was at least for now a good compromise, because it's not asking Facebook and Google per se to like it's recognizing there is an ease of use for users in the way that they present the information. I think there's some problematic things with that. We could talk about that too, because I mean, if you keep that system and people are not fully reading all of the context of an article, I still think that's not good. So I might have wanted to build a push a little more on that of like, maybe you should stop this too, just so people actually need to go to the site to read the full. Now, whether that person reads the whole thing, that's on them. But like, if you're giving these snippets out, I don't know if that's great either. But at least this is getting like, hey, we are recognizing that this has impacted you in a very substantial and tangible way. We're going to try to compensate for it.
Well put. Well put.
Yeah. Dang, Taryn. What are you trying? That dream big wall sticker is not on brand for commit.
Live, laugh, love.
I'm hurt. Ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Yeah. Did you have any thoughts on that? Or then we can move.
No, I feel like you nailed it. That's pretty much it. It's like if you only read the headline, you remember like, oh wow, that's everything I need to know. But they're not, the users aren't going to those websites, so it's like they're not getting what they paid for.
Yeah.
The users, the advertisers not getting what they paid for. The user's not going to that site. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. We're into our last segment of the show. So this is always on our main topics and getting into major stories that have happened. So we kind of preempt the show a little bit with some of the major stories or quick stories, and this lets us expand on some of those. So last Friday, Nintendo Direct and Sony State of Play happened on the same day. Nintendo kicked off the morning. Sony State of Play happened later that day. And then we went into the weekend with the Grand Theft Auto 6 hack, which just it was it was a wild weekend, folks. Crazy. It was like on a bender. So rather than we're not gonna, if you want to check out the recap of everything that happened on all of that, on both on the State of Play and for Nintendo Direct, go check it out on Nerd Union. We got a full breakdown of everything on that. But I figure here we can just talk about the things that we really liked out of it that came out.
So number one upcoming game, Mario Raving Rabbids, yet again.
Yeah. Get your headset off. just walk right on out.
Just leave now. And it's like, but this is my house. It's like.
Okay, I will say though, surprisingly, I never played that series. I was like, that just doesn't look like a thing that I want to play.
So I'm a big fan of XCOM, and like I also thought the same thing, and I was like, but I bought it and I gave it a try, and I just don't care for it personally.
Yeah. Wait, what?
is not the same. Like it's XCOM is just better. Even when you have a 99% chance to hit somebody and you step out around the corner and you miss, even then XCOM is still better.
We're still talking about rabbits?
Well, so the Raving Rabbids, if you haven't played XCOM or Raving Rabbids, they're the same kind of game. So because XCOM 2,
yeah.
They're like the same exact playstyle, isometric top-down, battlefield management, blah blah blah. It's just like the style of the Mario and Rabbids thing. I just don't care for it. It is very funny at times. It's just not my jam.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. So to the number 2 news, Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom. So I'm actually
Breath of the Wild
do Breath of the Wild 2 and also this subtitle, because it would have been Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild 2 Tears of the Kingdom. That would have been getting in Planet of the Apes territory as far as like convoluted titles.
It would have been fine. They could have called it Breath of the Wild 2 Electric Boogaloo. There you go.
All right. Well, now that's what that's what I'm gonna refer to it from now on. Yeah. But it shows that we're getting some Skyward Sword elements.
Yeah, right.
Because he jumps down from an island in this. At least what we can. Yeah. So that I was like, ooh, interesting. And get some more some parkour around Hyrule, some different elements there, and that's about here. You need to go get tested. I mean, depending on what the drug is. I mean, if that's your thing, I'm gonna do that safely. If you got a problem, we'll go, seek out. But no, it was not. No, a Nintendo. Come on, no. It was not. No, it was not gonna happen. I would love to come out this year, but it wasn't gonna happen. No.
I mean, if you wanted it, if people wanted it to be like Cyberpunk 2077, then you could ask if they could drop it this year, but don't do that.
Just accept the box.
Yep. Let's see. Other big stuff that's exciting. So real quick for the Splatoon players, the next Splatfest does start today. It's at I think 5 p.m. Pacific time, so 8 p.m. EST, and then it cascades that way. But Splatfest does start today for Splatoon folks. I'm not a big Splatoon player, but like a lot of my friends are, so they're all big Splat people. I have tried it. It's not the kind of game for me. But
Yeah, I kind of
Splatfest
like it
does
on and
start.
off.
Yeah, I'd have to
Yeah.
like hop in and out. Like the last game of like the similar like play matches of games and do that sort of thing. The last game to hold my attention like that was Lost Planet, like 1 and 2.
Yeah.
And it helped because I was dynamite at Lost Planet. It's the only shooter that I've ever like been remotely like good at relative to the other people who were playing multiplayer. I was fire in that game. Darn shame that they messed it up in 3. Um, but other stuff. So notable ones. There is a new Harvest Moon remake. You might have missed it, or it might have looked weirdly familiar to you, because Harvest Moon lost the Harvest Moon name, and Harvest Moon is now called Story of Seasons. Um,
Yeah.
there's a whole
That's
bunch of razzmatazz with that. Basically, the long and short of it is, the Natsume group that used to be a part of them is no longer a part of them, but they still own the rights to the Harvest Moon games. But Natsume owns the rights to the Harvest Moon name. So Natsume still releases Harvest Moon games, which is why Harvest Moon is sharply dropped in quality over like the past like 5 years. But Story of Seasons is still going strong, and they're still, largely just releasing updated versions of the same Harvest Moon games that came out approximately 10 years ago, which is
yeah.
fine. I'm happy to play Harvest Moon A Wonderful Life on Switch. But that's coming out summer of 2023.
Yeah. Let's see some other things that really stood out for me. We'd had the Front Mission remakes that have been. They had talked about them. We know one is coming out very soon. Two right after. We didn't know about Front Mission 3 being remade. That got confirmed during the Nintendo Direct, so I was really excited about that. I love me some.
Those do look good.
Yeah, I love me some tactical mech games. So that's just. Oh.
Speaking of tactical, they did have a promo for the new Fire Emblem Engage, I think it was called, which looks pretty solid. I mean, I know folks who are big into Harvest Moon. Folks that are big into Fire Emblem know how much replay value you get out of those games, and I don't think that this one's going to be any different. I think there'll be a lot of runs that you'll be able to make with this one. We also got a brief announcement for Pikmin 4, which I'm excited about. Pikmin slaps. So much fun.
So I'm excited. But we really didn't really see anything other than just we know it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
Sorry. They did say it was gonna come out in 2023.
Yeah, that was there too. But it was like otherwise the promo was just like Pikmin World, Glubs, a couple of other stuff, and there you go. Pikmin 4, boom.
Yeah. Let's see. Is there any other? Got some updates on the characters in Bayonetta 3. Oh shit! Hold on. Pause. I always forgot about all the RPGs because we talked about Fire Emblem, but like Square Enix just like slapping left and right. Octopath Traveler 2, a whole 8 new characters, like a whole new story set in the same town, set in the same universe. Apparently years after the events of the first game. What else am I forgetting?
Fatal Frame. Well, that's not really. That's an RPG, but there's a new Fatal Frame Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is coming to Switch. I think that's just a remake.
Yeah, because there was a Wii game for it. It was only in Japan.
Yes.
But also on Sony. So PlayStation's also getting that. Which is a surprising thing for some of the things. I was like, Sony. Not that it has to be exclusive on Switch. I'm not saying it has to be, but just some interesting. Like, okay, PS4 is getting some play on that. All right. Well, wow.
Biggest one for me though, biggest excitement. Tales of Symphonia remake. I used to play the hell out of Tales of Symphonia back in the day. I played it on what's it called, GameCube, and I think that was my first Tales of game. And I was like, I recently convinced a friend of mine to buy it on Steam because she had never played. And Tales of Symphonia also has local co-op, so if you want to play it with friends, you can. So looking forward to that. Super.
Yeah, because there aren't a lot of co-op RPG games.
There aren't.
Yeah,
Not a lot of meaningful co-op RPG games for sure.
There you go. Yeah, because there might be some where you're like, I mean, technically you did the thing, but we don't enjoy it.
It's like an RPG game with like a little brother mode where it's like, oh yeah, like, of the party of 4, like you control this one character and like in combat, and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. So yeah, and the Sony State of Play, I was not expecting Tekken 8 announcement, and especially as much as we saw. It could have just been like title screen, Tekken 8. But we actually got to see a little bit in that video, which I was like, all right. Okay. So I mean, still a ways off. And if it actually comes out next year, that'd be impressive. But okay, cool.
Yep. And we got a better look at what's it called? God of War Ragnarok with the story trailer.
Yeah, that last frame of Kratos and Thor going at it. That was so good. I mean, I liked it. Yeah, it was so good. Just the Mjolnir and Kratos' axe just clank. Yeah, it's good. Sorry. I mean, the cinematics for the God of War on PS4 were really good. And I appreciated that a lot. But the story was also solid, but like cinematics just like together with that, which is really good. So it's nice seeing even the teasers in the trailer that continuing, and hopefully it's going to deliver on that in the sequel. So that's why I'm gushing about how cool that moment is, but I'm also thinking like, but that also when we get to that in game might also be really good.
I'm sure it will be.
Yeah. And Kratos' past seems like it just can't. Poor guy can never catch a break. I say poor guys.
If he hasn't like slaughtered tons of people and slash deities.
Yeah, that's not the right phrasing for me to use. Cool. So yeah, I think those are kind of big things as far as announcement wise. There is definitely, y'all can go check out the site for more information on everything that was released, but those are kind of big things that were big. Really exciting for us. Last thing I'll say is
Mario Waving
PSVR. What's
that? Mario Waving Rabbits.
Get out.
Oh man.
No, but PSVR. We finally got to see some walkthrough of how it's going to be used. Definitely know that's got camera sensor. We'd heard there were going to be camera sensors, just like the Oculus Quest, and hand tracking. So I'm really excited to see those elements brought into the PSVR 2, and I can't wait to get my hand on that controller. IGN just did a wrap-up video where they were talking about they got to get a little bit of hands-on with it, and some of the tracking is not quite. If you got to play with a Valve Index, while that is an expensive VR headset, it's probably, I would still recommend it as one of the best that are out there. And the tracking that's available like per finger, like it actually knows, all right, you have lifted your index finger off of that. Just get a level of control for that. It's amazing. Apparently the PSVR is not quite that accurate, but it still has really good hand tracking. So at least generally it knows your thumb and hand are moving and stuff off the controller. But what they said, to be fair in the video, is that the game that was displayed didn't really take advantage of it. It is possible that it's available there in the hardware and they just haven't taken advantage of it. Because that's what I was really excited about, the haptic feel from the PS5 being brought into that VR controller. Because if you've gotten to play with a PS5 controller, it's really solid. It's more than just having vibration in the controller. The haptic really does add another element to it. And I thought in VR, like, man, that could be used really well. Even just feeling that like the thing that you picked up off the ground is different than something else that you picked up could be really huge, just for like muscle memory of like, oh yeah, I'm going to grab it, or maybe it means you're going to grab something off your back. And it's like, oh, that's not a grenade. There's a grenade.
It's like, well.
So, just remains to be seen what's going to be like. But I'm Oh, I'm excited. I'm
I
stoked.
think it'll be dope. I mean, I'm looking forward to messing around with like more VR stuff. Having I really I don't have an excuse not to get one, given that I just bought my Steam Deck, and I've been like, oh man, I want to get a VR thing, but they're so expensive. And it's like the moment that I got the notification that my Steam Deck was ready, because I missed it the first time. I was on vacation, and they were like, yo, if you don't buy your Steam Deck in the next 3 days, we're gonna like drop your thing. And of course, I got back the day after it expired. So I had to get back on the list again and then do all that stuff.
Yeah.
So now it's like I'll get it when I get it. But I bought it. I was like, all right, we're not sleeping this time. So I bought it right away. So I really don't have an excuse to not get like a fancy VR headset. But I've just been like, there's so many options, and I'm like, I don't want to get one that's like a little outdated, and I don't want to spend like gobs of money. So I got to figure out what I want to do there. But I'm looking forward to it. I have a backlist of VR games that I want to play. That I'm looking forward to. So once it happens, I'm taking off running, because all those games have been out for a long time, and they're probably like $10, $15 now.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm stoked. You should definitely.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and then we'll be able to get some VR games together.
Yeah. We'll be able to play what was it, the Fist of the North Star boxing.
Oh my gosh. I saw that. I was like, what does that mean?
Yeah, apparently also one of the games that was announced during the Nintendo Direct was a Fist of the North Star boxing fitness game.
Nani?
Yeah, right? But that's coming.
That's coming. So we already talked Grand Theft Auto leak. We talked about the kid that got apprehended. So that was a recent update, happened earlier this morning. So really the only thing I want to talk about is the weird feeling about the way the internet reacted to it. If you see some memes, there's some, actually, I think the memes are great. The memes are hilarious. So this is not me not like internet gonna internet. Great memes came out of it regarding like how Rockstar was gonna react to the leak and stuff. So that's fun, and definitely maybe you could throw some on the Facebook page and stuff like that. But I don't feel like a company that's. I feel like we've lost our minds if we're going to say like a company deserves to be hacked just because they haven't given you the game that you want.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, heck, I want Sonic Team to give me another Panzer Dragoon Saga or give me a remake of that. I'm not going to go hack Sonic Team because of that. Like, what are we talking about? Like, that's just so. If it's just a way to release and be funny about it, I guess I'm okay with that. But I think some people are serious. I think some people are legit like, no, F them.
It's like, we stick it to them. Like, there's no like, oh yeah, like like they like if the code gets stolen, like somebody else is gonna release. They're just gonna release Grand Theft Auto 6 right now because it's already ready, and they're gonna release it for free. It's gonna have all the DLC. It's like that's showing them like. That's not going to happen. Like, there's tons of legal ramifications. All that happens is that it's just like a major security breach that like they now have to deal with, which might slow down development for the thing that you were hoping for to comes out. So it's like it's expressly bad, or at least detrimental for you, the player, to have your company's like source code stolen.
Yeah. And now this might completely contradict what I've been stomping for. But it's also like, dang, if there were companies that you're going to go after, why not? Why Rockstar? We've talked about some horrible actions from other companies on this channel multiple times, and y'all ain't done jack squat about those companies. So I just find it. Sorry. So again, that's not me advocating for you to do that,
to go and do something bad, but it's just like, if you're trying to if you're doing it because you want to stick it to somebody, like there's stickier companies out there.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not stomping for companies, especially $1 million, almost some of them $1 billion companies. So it's not me stomping for them, but just come on, let's have a little more internal logic, or just keep it in the fun space. If it's memes, jokes, cool. Watching that on Twitter unfold was just,
people were like, they deserve this.
It's like, that's wild, son. Cool. I don't have a throwback.
Nah.
Yeah. So next time.
My throwback is a throwback to the last time I brought up Jak and Daxter.
You know what? I was thinking about that in the game store 2 weeks ago. I saw a Jak and Daxter HD collection for PS3, and I almost grabbed it, and my brain was like, "You already have this." I was like, "Oh, okay, thank you," because that's how much we love Jak and Daxter. Rowan was willing to buy it twice.
Yep, it's true.
I will do a shameless plug because we had a comment about it. Fat Loser 293 says, "Can't wait to see more on Patreon." Me neither. I was like, me too. Wait, yes.
Me neither too.
Me neither too.
You did it.
God, that was awful. That was terrible.
You had the whole show to nail it.
Yeah, slipped on banana peel right there at the finish line. Got blue shelled right there by my own brain. But we have a Patreon, and it's one of the best ways you can support the work we do here at Nerd Union, trying to provide as timely news coverage and independent reporting as we can. But again, it's not our day jobs. Could be, but it's not.
Yeah, if you keep supporting us on Patreon, it could be.
Could be. But we actually have, we got some cool things coming down the pipe. Legitimately, we got people working on some stuff that'll be coming on. We're definitely going to start dropping some stuff on Patreon first before it ever comes into the site. And we got some cool changes that are happening on the site. Not a paywall per se, but just something to help encourage folks to help support us more. So some ads may come on the site, but not in an intrusive way. Because if you've read some other pages, gosh, I was researching for something on here, and I was just like, I can't read the thing.
You'll scroll down, and like the ad doesn't render properly. So like, not only does the ad not show up, but it also obfuscates the whole page.
Yeah, it's bad. It's bad. So we're not gonna do that, but we really want to make sure folks have a good experience on the site. And we got some new people coming in. It's gonna be really cool. I'm excited. Kind of getting my energy back again. Kind of like,
yeah,
woo, yes. So it's gonna be good. Cool. Well, I'm Commander Ship.
Yep. I'm Emily Doom. X.
This has been State of Nerd Union for 23 September. And we'll see you next time.
Wait, this way. There you go. Always get it wrong.
Bye, y'all.
Peace.